Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Fast Friends. We're super excited here on our first episode. We have this amazing athlete here. His name's Tyler Bereman. Loretta Lynn's champion coming up through the ranks, turned professional, raced Supercross. He's made multiple main events in Supercross. Third generation flat track racer.
Full on, if you don't mind me cutting in, free ride pioneer. Rides for Red Bull, as you guys all know. Multiple X Games medals, X Games gold medalist. And as far as right now, he's the creator of the Red Bull Imagination that just did their 4th event, killing it. I'm a longtime supporter and huge fan of Tyler. And Kyle is actually pretty close personal friends with Tyler, so pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. How long have you known the kid?
Yeah, quite a long time. We have some good stories. Excited to jump into this thing. Let's go.
I think, yeah, to your point earlier, Kyle, in that intro, thank you for that. All of everything kind of culminating together to this point, like it's where I'm at is like just the human experiences and like being able to have these like human connections of like us being homies for so long and like it being so cool and like just people being able to tell their stories. And I think that's a big thing of where I've gotten to where I am is because of like the person that I am and the person that I embody. And like, I just try to be another relatable person, like every other person, you know, like people ask me all the time, like, who are you? What do you do? And I'm just like, I'm just me, man, to the best of my ability. Like I'm very fortunate to be able to like do what I love and call it my job. Absolutely. No doubt about it. But like at the end of the day, like I'm just me and that's all I got at the end of the day with 2 wheels or not. Like I got me. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it like there's motocross is such a niche thing. It's such a small, tight-knit community. There's guys that like are basically like just naturally become advocates for the sport and for like how it's a good family thing. It's like healthy. And like I've known you, not like we haven't been like close friends or anything, but I've been around the same circle you've been around our whole life basically. And we've linked up here and there, seen each other at different events. You've always been so cool to me. And like, you know what I mean? Just so nice, so genuine. We talk about moto, whatever, but like you're like one of those advocates, like Jeremy McGrath. Like you want someone to like dirt bikes or that doesn't know about dirt bikes. Talk to him because he's the nicest 100%. Guy, the most real guy, the most genuine dude that loves the sport. You're on that list. You know what I mean? It's a short list. Because there's some dudes you wouldn't want someone to walk up to at the gas station and be like, hey, like, can I sit on your bike? And you know what I mean? Like some people get a bad reaction. For sure. They would get a great experience with you. So that's like something.
And I think to your point with like MC, and we just got off the phone with Twitch, like those two dudes, like.
They're committed.
But they're the best like role models for a kid like me coming down when I came down in 2009 or 10 when I met you, and being able to be around that and now like consider them both like one of my some of my closest friends. Like you said, like you can go up to them and like you go up and I don't know anything about MC. You ask him like an ignorant question. He's not going to be like, oh, that's a stupid question.
Exactly.
Like, fuck you. Like you don't know who I am. Like he's a human. Like he's a normal human being, but he's been able to create that. So like having that, and then I'd say on the flip side, Twitch is the same way, but he's like the nicest asshole you've ever met. Like he can talk the shit too, you know, and like has a different demeanor, but he's still the same dude. Like he's personable and like someone that you would want to walk up and like shoot the shit with.
I don't know if you guys ever realize that you're helping grow the sport in like a monumental way. Like you're not being paid by motocross to do it, and you're doing so much for them or whoever they are.
And
you know what I mean? Just the sport in general.
That's, you know, where I am right now. Like that's the biggest thing for me is just to like give back to what's created so much for me. Like I've always been like less is more. I grew up racing and I chased that forever. And then getting to where I am now, it's like you didn't have to like you didn't have to do like one thing or another, but you can like always figure out how to just like make it work, you know?
let's talk a little bit about that. Like you just kind of mentioned it, but it's kind of trying to explain, like, obviously there's a lot of these people watching the show. It's like, who are you, right? We're starting the first podcast. Like, at the end of the day, who am I? Like, right, just hanging out.
You can't have your first one till you do your first one.
Can't have your first one till you do your first one. We're starting at the back of the line. We're going to get to the front, but you're only going to get there if you get in line.
Why not now?
We're in line. And so, anyways, Tyler, the first time we ever met, you and I kind of remember it. But do you kind of remember it? Like, first time we ever met?
I think what was it?
I think it was
coming by your house. You were living. I was dropping goggles off or something. Was that the first time? Or picking up goggles from
Menifee or Canyon Lake? How far back?
Canyon Lake.
When you were living, who were you living with? Velodico?
Joey, yeah.
I was
Joey
living
and
on the couch.
That was a fun time. You were definitely.
I was living on the couch.
We were doing what was called Sunday Fun Day. Sunday Fun Day,
Not
Monday
really.
Fun Day. Tuesday
I feel like
Fun Day.
the first time I went over there was someone that like
Jed lived there in the front room.
Oh yeah,
Joey.
no, there was like I think it was maybe either Josh Hill or it was Jason Lawrence. One of the two was there when I went.
Jayla
by
might have
first
been
time.
there.
I think like
Yeah. Well,
Training.
Jason and I were roommates for almost 5, probably about 5 years prior.
hey, to
me
be a
moving.
fly on the wall in that place.
Hey. I hung out at that house quite a bit, dude. I had a good time.
Damn, there were some flies on the
time
wall.
there.
I almost kind of
Ryan
feel like
Mills.
I was a fly on the wall in a sense.
Hey,
Like, you
Kyle?
know, because I was like we first moved in. When he first came out, I mean, he didn't just show up and move in with me, but we drove. I drove from Budds Creek all the way across country with this dude in his truck, and we started living together. And I'm like, I was like a fly on the wall. I'm like, whoa, you know. But I was like along for the ride, and it was a good time, and we really had a good time with all that. But yeah, so you first came over, and it was like a minor meet and greet. Honestly, I don't know if we even answered the door.
I feel like you got like yeah.
I don't think we did. I think there was
There
something
was some
like
adult activities or something going down, and you're like, "Oh, this little shit grom like coming in to get goggles." Like, yeah, maybe we'll just leave the goggles at the front door.
I was like, "Shit, dude, this young like amateur kids coming over to pick stuff up, and like dudes are like smoking," and I'm like, maybe we'll just kind of leave them out front and tell them we're not home. And then I figured out pretty quick that like, oh, he's just one of us. So. It was all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I think I want to say like our first kind of time hanging out or meeting was we hopped in your van, Gina, and we drove to Ocotillo for Black Friday. It was called Black Friday,
Yeah,
right?
the Metal Militia Black Friday
Metal
movie.
Militia.
And that was right at the time that they were filming that, and Andy Backen was my
Deft.
he was my team manager,
Answer.
and pro taper at the time.
Monster,
And
yeah.
then I rode for Deft at the time. Those were like one of the first sponsors that I had. That in DC like really backed it from the get go. But
yeah.
we hopped in the van to go out to Ocotillo, and they were filming Black Friday, and it was right towards the tail end of like the falling out with Twitch and Militia, and it ended up the clips that we ended up filming for that when we went out there fell in Twitch's movie and not Black Friday, but they were filming for Black Friday. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
It was like Potter.
the whole Militia crew, Potter, Garland, Feist, Twitch.
And then Backen was actually
Wes
really
A.G.
hanging in there too. Hanson was there too.
Hanson,
Doing a lot of
there
good-
was so many people out there.
But you were like, I'm like spy moto team manager at the time, and I'm going out there with you because you're like, we're going out there to meet these guys, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna go ride around Ocotillo Wells with like the gnarliest guys to ride around out here. First of all, I've never worn knee braces, but I forgot my knee pads, and like if you don't have something over your knees, like you're just not gonna do anything. And for me, so I'm like, well, I'll just cruise around for the day and just check all these guys out doing the gnarliest stuff, right? Which I probably was better off doing that anyways. It was like meant for a reason, right?
Yeah.
And but of course you had all your shit, and your mindset's like, I'm here to show some dudes what's up. And I'm like still not even knowing that I'm like I've literally probably haven't seen you ride or race or anything at this point. It was brand new, our relationship. And I'm like, I think he's like pretty good. I'm not really sure. And like, I think Billy Laninovich might have even been there. I'm not really sure he was all there. But the first jump we went to was like a pretty technical kind of a thing. Like
the pole line step up.
Yeah.
The
pole line step up.
OG pole line step up.
And so they're all jumping it. Yeah. And then Tyler's looking at it. Here's a kid. What were you, 17 probably?
Yeah, something like that. I moved down when I was 18, so it was
just turned 18.
I think maybe? I was 18.
Were you still you're still racing amateur?
I was still racing. I literally
stickers, the whole front fender.
I literally just got back from a race and I still had yellow backgrounds on. So I had the yellow background on it might have been Mammoth. I don't know.
That's a yellow background.
It was like Answer Skull Candy gear, maybe.
Yeah,
it was like that time. Yeah,
and I had yellow front number plate, like with my number, and then I ripped the side ones off the night before I left, and I'm like, I have all this box of stickers. I'm just gonna sticker this thing where you can't even see the color at all. And I
that
just
makes
looking
sense.
back on it, just so dumb, ignorant shit, Grom. Like for me to like
you were
do
stoked.
that, it's just like a like come in like fuck you guys, like look at me type thing. But like it was
that how you felt at the time? Were you like aggro?
No, it was just like
not at all.
It was just like, you know, that scene of like, you know, and always like these guys are my heroes basically.
So you got to puff up a little bit.
Like, what would they do? Like, I'm gonna fucking sticker out my whole bike and like I'm coming in to ride with the boys, you know. And it was fun, like funny that like when I'm thinking about this and reflecting on it, like there was times when I was at Paula and shit, and Deegan and Feist were out there one time, and I just remember like passing Deegan and like doing a heel clicker in front of him on a fucking tabletop, and like I did something next to Feist, and then I thought it was so cool, and I went over to Feist, and I'm like right up to him on my bike like afterwards, and I'm like, yo dude, like you guys trying to smoke a bowl? And Feist,
you guys want to be friends?
Dude,
can we be friends?
After I'm doing the little shit Grom, like and now me being older, like I see this so much of like the amateur racers, and they're just like just a head full of steam, just young, dumb, and full of cum. All these kids, you know what I mean? Just like so fast, so aggro, revving at you like it's their track. You shouldn't be in their rut. You know what I mean? And like I was that kid at one point. Like it's just
you're pushing through, dude. You're
what
like
this
bulldozing.
lifestyle of racing breeds. Like you're bred to beat your competitor, right? So like
and make a mark.
The fucking stopwatch nationals of Southern California is insane. And if you get like this little shit Grom coming up behind you on a super mini and you are cruising out there, like I've had this, you know, in the last few years, like you're just out cruising at the track and like some fucking super mini kid comes in hot behind you revving. Like I probably more or less might have been that kid. Like when I'm reflecting on this, like thinking like
kid.
Does a hill
doing
clicker,
heel clickers in front of Deegan, like I was that kid.
And you know that Deegan probably didn't notice it, doesn't remember it, and it didn't matter. But in your mind, it was
for sure. When I look back on it, and then it's like, you know, fast forwarding to the Ocotillo trip and like doing.
Yeah. Okay. So back to the Ocotillo trip. I want to talk a little bit about that because you were the one doing it. I was the one witnessing it with my no knee pads. And everyone was probably like,
is that your OnlyFans account name?
What's with this
No
guy?
knee pads.
That would be a good one. No knee pads.
Hey, that's,
I don't even need knee pads.
That's like a stripper name. And next onto the stage,
No knee pads.
no knee pads.
So, dude, I'm just, again, fly on the wall watching this shit go down. Every time we would go up to a section or there was a jump or something gnarly, like after the third time, it was the first one that everyone was like, what's up with this kid? Okay, maybe he's pretty gnarly. Then it was the second one. It was like, Is he gonna jump it? I honestly feel like even one of them might have said to me like, "Yo, dude, like just tell him like he doesn't have to he doesn't have to do all this."
Just to make it clear, like,
and I'm like,
is it all the gnarly freestyle guys?
All the
and
gnarliest
they're watching
guys.
you jump a jump, and they're not.
They're kind of
They're
scared.
already jumping it and
backflipping it. And
I just threw my gear on and I hopped in. They were already doing it, and I tried to hit it. And it's the pole line step up, and it's like the famous step up that's in all the movies we grew up on. And it was way gnarlier back in the day, but it was kind of steep. And I like fucking whipped up into this thing, and I knew I was coming up short. And there's the tightest butthole little
it's like
pocket,
a little pocket,
like. And I like redirected my bike in the air, and I landed in this pocket and like hopped out of the pocket. And everyone was like,
"No, dude, the way that you did that, I was like, oh fuck, we're done. First jump, he's done."
Yeah.
And the way that you did that and greased it, everyone was like, "What the hell was that?"
They were like,
He was like, "What was
Twitch
that?"
still says it to this day. Like that was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Like a
seen,
bike
like,
controlled style?
100%. Like we
like,
thought you
weird.
were dead, and we had no idea who you were.
Yeah.
Like seen none of us.
Like, we were like,
no one had seen me ride at that point besides Bakes.
Yeah.
And Bakes like seen me race and
Yeah.
stuff. I've hit like ramps and stuff at Deft and Nate's old house and shit like that. But like I grew up like trail riding all the time.
Yeah.
My dad would take me on these sick trails,
but
and
nobody knew.
take me to the jump spots, and I would just grew up free ride, like
Nobody
finding
knew.
jumps.
We were watching.
You know, and like I had that, and I think like this is my ADD bouncing around, but that's why I excelled in jumping in Supercross.
So like you made a mistake, your talent just happened to
I-
slip out
I-
in front of
it's-
everyone's
it's
face.
too
They're all
good, yeah.
They're all
And then the
bike
next
control.
jump
Shit.
was a gnarly thing.
The next jump, I did the exact same thing. I went to hit it faster, and I landed in the exact same spot, and I redirected my bike like 180, landed in this same pocket, and popped out of the pocket. And everyone's like, what the fuck? And
Why
then
is he doing that?
And then the third one, I hit it good, and they're like, all right, like.
The third one was like perfect.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, well, whatever. He's pretty good. But I'm talking about the second jump we went to was like.
Well, we went to a few different zones.
Yeah.
The one, Potter and them were flipping. I was whipping pretty good.
No,
on.
you were cranking whips on that. And everyone was like, at that point, people were starting to be like,
Okay, yeah, and then that step up, the like right around the corner is there's an old Mike Sinkmeyer's double, like really famous old double that he hit, and like the landing, there's a lip and a landing, and the landing like this wing comes out, this finger of like a mud hill, right? And that's when I was riding off the finger backwards to basically jump off the end of the finger and land down the takeoff of Mike Sinkmeyer's.
this is the one that you
the
got
one.
the 2-page spread.
The one.
Yeah, so this is actually probably 3 or 4 jumps after what we were talking about in the beginning there. This was like throughout
there
the
was
day.
a couple
At this
jumps in
point, when we
between.
had got to that jump, you had already done everything that everyone else was doing and whipping it harder and greasing it smoother. And it was like the respect was earned at that
Already
point. And
kinda
everyone's
there.
like, okay, well, what's he going to do
I
next?
felt like if we went from the first jump straight to that big one that I found, and like I was the first one to ever do it, they would have told me, "Fuck no, you're not jumping it."
They would have stopped.
But they
you.
like
yeah.
it. I was able to have the day to like prove myself, if you will.
At that point, everyone was like already like,
But you're
yeah.
you're a
Okay.
racer at this point. What is the?
Yeah.
Why are you out there? Why like
You were not even a pro yet.
What?
You were
I
still
love-
like,
I like my
But-
dad took me free riding.
But how
and
did you
trail
get
riding.
the opportunity to be in that group
Yeah,
of dudes?
someone
Like,
invited
how
you. I
did-
think Twitch-
because
Bakes,
Deft,
yeah,
because
Bakes.
the whole Deft thing, and I would
Bakes is Andy Backen, by the way.
Yeah, love Andy
Amazing-
Backen.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So he
riders,
worked. He
amazing
worked for Answer
guy.
and Pro Taper at the time,
Yeah.
and I rode for Answer and Pro Taper at the time. So he was obviously really good friends with Twitch.
Yeah.
Really good friends with the Deft guys. I wore Deft at the time, and I had rode with those guys and done a bunch of photo shoots and stuff. So I started to meet some of these people, but I
Yeah.
never really fully rode with them. Like I rode once at Nate's house for a Deft thing. Like. Before that, so then at that point I was like, and growing up, like I would always go trail riding, and my dad would take me to the jump zone. So like that's just kind of like where I feel like I'm
The jump
my
zone.
best self.
Yeah.
You know, like I thrive in that environment and that mindset. Like
But like, did you still, at the end of the day, you wanted to be a racer, or is that like the beginning of like, wait a minute, there's like something here?
I mean, I was a racer.
You were still race mode.
I was full race mode still, but like
But looking for exposure.
But I was always. I was always like somewhat of a free rider because like every time I would go race, I'd still like if I'd be winning the race, I'd be like showboating and doing whips and shit just because I loved it and like.
But you didn't know at that point when we were in Ocotillo and that was happening, you kind of weren't looking at it like that. You were still just like, I'm a racer and I'm going to make a mark and do this and that. Yeah. But you weren't like thinking like, at that point, it hadn't clicked like I'm going the free ride route.
At that time, I was living with Ryan Walters and starting to be around the film stuff.
Ryan Walters is a legendary film guy and does a lot of the stuff you see from Monster nowadays.
Started the Verb Moto boys.
Moto Playground?
Verb Moto.
Verb.
And then worked for Verb for a long time and now doing his own thing. Like, like in my opinion, the best in the business,
best filmer.
Hands down.
I love the guy.
Not
the film,
just his
the
filming,
vibe,
but his editing and his
everything.
style of everything he does is unmatched in my opinion.
Yeah.
So like, just super cool to be able to like that. Him and his family took me under their wing. So at that time, I was being around film a lot, still chasing the dream of racing because that's like our only outlet, right?
Yeah.
I didn't do tricks. I wasn't a freestyle guy. I was a racer. And so I still at that time, I was still obviously like one track mind on like wanting to be like, I never really thought of it like I'm going to be a Supercross champion. I just like, I want to race Supercross. I want to be on the line in front of about 80,000 people.
Yeah.
Like that would be the sickest shit
people
ever.
to whip it in front of. So
and so I did that for a long time, and then just after I met Twitch for that Black Friday thing and did that jumps, and then we like started. That night when we were done though, like smoked with him, and then it was like we became best friends, and from that point, I basically Twitch was like. I would always go hang with Twitch and ride with them any chance I could, and anytime it rained, we'd go to the hills, and like I guess it back to like the MC thing of having these role models. Like I had Twitch like really be a role model for me in that, and that's his transition from professional, like retiring from competition to then going like
just
filming movies and chasing the storm and all this stuff right in that perfect opportunity of the time that I came in, and I just had all these insane people around me that like show like I was seeing this without knowing that's what I was gonna do.
Yeah.
To your point. Yeah. And so I raced and I did it, but then, the injuries, the fucking plagued with the injuries, like every time I'd get hurt, I'd get back on the bike and I'd just go to the hills and ride. When I first get back on the bike, I'd go to Beaumont and just go hit jumps. And
that is not a common thing that a racer does.
I mean, I would go to a turn track or go out and hit jumps. Yeah. Like I'd go to the turn track first, go ride trails first, turn track, then go jump.
Yeah.
And once I'm jumping, then I'm like, I'm good or I'm not,
Yeah.
Let me expound a little bit on this final jump of the day at Black Friday, Metal Militia, Ocotillo Wells Day. Tyler goes through the day. At the end of the day, has already solidified himself as like he's got the timing, he's got the skills, he's going to make it look good. But it was at the point, it was the end of the day. Everyone was pretty much done riding. Everyone was cracking beers. Everyone was chilling. No one was even like riding at this point. It was like evening. And like you just, I don't know if you like walked over or something, but you're like looking at that jump, and then you're like looking at it, and like we're honestly not even thinking like we don't even know what you're doing. It's like little kids over there playing in the dirt kind of thing, right? And then all of a sudden, then you're like down here and you're kind of like smoothing out this like rain rut so you can like get speed up to the lip. And like I'm like, I just remember Twitch being like Schweitzer's like, is he gonna jump that? I'm like, dude, he's gonna jump that for sure. Like, what do you mean? Why would he do all that? And why would he show everyone up all day like he's been doing? And then that's going on. And then Twitch's like, Schweitzer, get your fucking camera on, bro. And like he walks over there with the camera, whatever has to happen. And then it was Brandon Lutz, right?
Brandon Lutz, yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
And he was like Transworld photographer.
Transworld photographer.
And he's like, oh, yeah. let me walk over there. And it was honestly, I was scared because I'm like, I drove out here with this kid.
Yeah.
And
We're way the
it's
fuck
a
out
long
here.
drive back. We're in the middle of the desert. I'm like, you kind of don't have to prove much more at this point, but I get it, right? So I'm like, let's just let it go and see what happens. And a 250F too, I think. So it wasn't like you had the extra power.
250F outdoor suspension.
There was the whole amateur motocross
Fucking
deal.
stickers all
And
over
he
one
goes
side,
and
like-
company, and I hear the motor and the guys are set up, and I'm like, see him go through that little thing I'm talking about, that rain rut, and it was like a little bit powdery, and your bike kind of a hair kind of bogged. This was the style jump that if you came up short, we were not driving home that night.
Helicopter.
We were not going. It's helicopter. It's issues. It's the whole deal.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and hurt through the thing, and I'm like, is he gonna check? No, he's not checking. He grabbed a handful, a little more, heart, and just, dude, it was like, I think the first time you did it, it was whipped out, no foot grease,
It's
dude.
kind of.
I'm like,
it's kind of
what
like
the
a little
hell
bit
was
hip
that?
too. And the landing.
Everyone,
The landing was a takeoff going
it
this
was-
way.
it was
and I like literally caught both wheels coming in on the tranny, like
perfect.
like so good.
Like the back tire made like a little dirt go over the edge. That's how perfect it was. and then you did it like a couple more times, a few more times after that, and then we were able to be like, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing day. And
Well,
then
I
you got
did
a
it
2-page spread in
I did
Transworld
it
magazine.
that
It was
first
awesome.
time, and then came back, and the boys cracked me a beer, and we were all cheers a beer, and I was drinking the beer, and then Jay's over there, and he's like, "Oh, dude, like you gonna hit it one more time?" And like that's just like a pet peeve for anybody.
Yeah, don't
Like,
say
you
it
don't
one more
say
time.
one
more Yeah, yeah. time.
And I've learned with that of like working with so many filmers over the years, like they say it, and like you gotta mentally know how to like let that go and not like dwell on it, because like that it will bite you if you let it dwell on you, you know?
Yeah.
So anyways, he's like, "Oh, you can hit it one more time, dude." And just how Jay talks, like it's classic. Like
Yeah.
just nothing against him, just amazing filmer. But it was Jeremy's like, "Fuck you, Jay, like he already hit it, things blown out.
It
Like
was a thing.
you
and
missed
then
the
just
shot."
went
And
and did it
like
again, yeah.
and I just had this like light bulb in my head, like like this is
Let's get that.
This is my time. Like this red, like this sick red long lens. Like let's get it.
That's
You know? And I was like, even though I had a little
You
like,
put your boots
slam
on
beer
and
it.
buckled up and just.
Yeah.
Was that your first? I mean, it was a 2-page spread in the back of a Transworld. Was that your first like magazine, like good?
Potentially. I don't know if yeah, maybe.
Nice.
I've had a lot, but around that time, like
That time, that was early. Yeah.
that was early, but I think I can't
had
remember
a
the
couple
first
here and
one,
there,
but I did. I had a couple. There, one of them might have been from a DC shoot, or maybe, yeah, I don't know, man.
Hey,
Shit
can
all
we-
blends together. We were filming out with Twitch one of the days with the whole Transworld crew behind Temecula, and I think
Oh,
that was
yeah,
my
that.
first scan shot when like. There was a couple. I think Hanny was there on a PC bike. There was a bunch of people, and that was, I think, my first one. But the
Nice.
scan one was my second. But
Hey, Jeremy.
Yo,
I just want to ask you a little question, dude.
go fuck yourself.
I do that all the time, man. I do it all- Nice. But anyways,
Getting really good at it over the years too.
yeah, it is. I mean, think about it. But anyways, dude, how about that
Go, dude.
very first trip that when we came to Ocotillo, and Tyler and I came out there, and he was just riding that amateur bike with 653 on it with all the stickers on the front fender and like all the stuff and the answer gear.
I'll never forget that day.
I mean, dude, that was like, I honestly feel like you were like, what's up with this kid, dude? And he kept doing it and kept doing it. And then the end of the day, that you remember that jump.
Yeah, when he cased that first jump, I was like, oh my god, he's gonna fucking die today. And then he fucking fully pretty gnarly.
Yeah, that was just like a pretty like a timestamp of a day. You know what I mean? I was like, even I didn't know. I had never seen him or ridden with him either. I was like, yeah, amateur spy.
The best part,
And then he's like doing all that.
I'm like,
shit.
sick. I'm gonna go ride with all the militia boys. Like, I'm gonna fucking cover my one number plate full of stickers. Like, and that's what I did. And I was like, looking back on it, like such a fucking shit girl. I'm like,
Yeah, it was.
me thinking that was cool to do that because of like the boys. Yeah, it's so fun.
And then just the end of the day, that little like move some dirt around with his boots and then hitting that one gnarly jump. I think it was the only one that jumped it, right?
Yeah, a couple people.
Sat there and just watched.
Yep. And Jay Schweitzer got the camera. And
Remember?
who was it? Brandon Lutz got the photo.
Hey, remember I hit it twice, or no, I hit it once. And then I came back over and all you boys like gave me like props on it. And then someone cracked a beer. I think it was Potter, pulled the beer out, handed me the beer. And I was drinking the beer, like celebrating with you guys. And then just over in the corner, you just hear Jay Schweitzer like, "Hey, dude, can you hit that one more time?" And it just Jeremy's just like, "Schweitzer, you missed it. Go fuck yourself. He's blown out. It's done." And I'm like, I just had that thought in my head, like, this is my opportunity to prove myself. Like, this is the first time, like not the first time I've filmed some amateur stuff with Walt, obviously before that, but like a movie being filmed, like I'm gonna try and make my mark. And I didn't die. And then I got to smoke weed with you after, and then we became best friends.
That's how it happens.
It's just how it happens. Oh man.
Brings people together.
It really does, man.
It indeed does.
Yep.
All right. Fuck off, Jeremy. I'll hit you up when I'm home. Later.
Later. So anyways, yeah, I think that this question that I would like to ask you is, you've like made a career with whips and doing best whips and getting gold medals in X Games, and it started just probably posting it on your social media, and the way that you whip the dirt bike and the style that you do it and everything about it is something special. So it obviously started to resonate with people. But when was the first time that you actually, like, say, went to a place that had a best whip deal and then you won and you made money, and like the experience of that?
The
Like,
first
how
time
was
you
that?
got paid to jump, basically.
Yeah, first time you got paid to jump.
I'm going to break this down into three things there, because to that question, I always did whips when I raced, in my races all the time. So I kind of like whipping was always kind of just like my thing that I like to do, right?
Yeah.
And the
And
AMA
I
is
just
paying.
did it. Like, I raced Supercross and did whips on the finish line of the LCQ just for fun every lap.
What did you
when I was
make?
getting smoked?
How much did you make from the AMA?
Shit. Nothing. Barely. I put it this way, I lost money based on buying my family tickets and my race gas, my entry
But you were
fee.
making main events.
Yes.
Losing money.
Losing money.
That makes no sense to me.
I mean,
That's
it makes
terrible.
perfect sense. It's AMA and
Yeah,
FIM.
Oh,
And
shit.
The
felt.
American Money Association, dude.
God save the AMA.
But then I always did it. And, you know, falling into that time of like whip contests, you know, and X Games, like whenever it came in 2007, 8, 9 time.
Yeah.
And Todd Potter and Renner and MC. Or, I'm
Hansen.
sorry. Hansen was like 2012, 11, 12, 13. But 08 was like James Stewart was in it.
Oh, yeah.
Remember doing the sick,
Yep.
like, knack whips, like, on the
Oh,
L&N
yeah.
Yamaha.
I did forget
Like,
about all this.
Billy Laninovich was in it,
Hell
like
yeah.
Potter, like so many sick guys, like
Yeah.
for years, like the whip thing, like, and I was like, ooh, a little kid, like that's a far fetched pipe dream, right? Like,
Oh, yeah. That's a niche
So-
group. Yeah.
just kept, you know, like I do whips because I love it, and to me, like, I grew up racing. I didn't ever really do tricks. And not that I have anything against tricks. It's just not my thing. I was a racer. You were a racer or you were a freestyler, and there's no in between. You know what I mean? Except for if you're fucking MC, like,
Yeah.
you can do whatever the fuck you want, you know? But
Yeah.
going back and forth, like, always, less is more. Like, I'm, to this day and age right now, sitting in the seat, like, I could have done a backflip and tricks for so long and gotten these extra shows, but, like, I really want to be a role model for the kids coming up that, like, look, you don't have to do this or that. Like, you can... I have been fortunate enough to call the whip my bread and butter, but, like, content and all these things and personality and, like, being someone that someone can relate to and marketing yourself in the right way, like, this all helps. And you can, like, simplicity is everything. Whip, in my eyes, is technically a trick. It's the most simple trick, but the most important.
Not the most.
It's the most
It's like
important.
it's like a method on a snowboard.
Or even just like a sick turn if you're surfing or getting barreled.
Exactly.
Or just a really
Like
clean,
a sick
stylish
frontside
kickflip
carve
or like
on
whatever
a
it is
per
in any
open
sport.
face
Yeah.
of a wave, or a method on a snowboard that's so simple but so important to the culture. That whip was just always my thing. So I always thought, like, did it. And first time I actually made money in it, to the final part of that question, was Del Moto Derby. You put that on,
Del
actually.
Mar?
Del Mar.
Yeah.
Spot, Del Moto Derby.
You put that
I
on?
can't remember. You guys did 3 years of it. I think you had to whip at 2 of the 3
Yeah.
years. The first one was on the finish line, on the track.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, we weren't sure if we could actually put a ramp in there
Yeah.
and fit it.
Oh,
and-
because it's under.
Hey, and then I get,
Yeah.
like, you know, the first year, get to the finish line, I get the win, and I'm, like, all stoked. Like, monster chicks up there. Like, not monster chicks, but, like,
I think
you
it
know,
was
that,
spy chicks.
Some
Some Carl's bad chicks, dude.
Some chicks.
And I'm like, got the big check, you
big
know,
check.
$1,000. Take it
1,000.
straight to the big bank. You know?
yeah. Take it to the big
This
bank.
won't fit.
Excuse me, ma'am. I can't fit this check in my wallet. So yeah, that was the first
That was
year,
the
and
best.
then the next time was the following year. You guys did it again, and on a ramp in the middle, and a lot of the guys that came, like, didn't like the landing. It was a little thin, a little sketchy, but, like, sketchier the better.
Yeah.
Like, I thrive on.
We actually had people that decided it was a little too sketchy, that they decided not to actually even jump the jump.
Wow. Do we know who those people were?
No, we don't. We're not saying
We're
that.
not gonna
But
say
then we
that.
have
Not to
people
point
who,
fingers.
like, they don't think like that, and they just freaking sack up and make it happen, and they win $1,000. And
Yeah.
congratulations.
What place do you have to get in the 250 main to get 1,000?
Who knows?
top 10.
Like 10th. Huh?
Yeah.
I think like 10th or 11th.
I think I got my best
That's-
result was like 16th, and I think I got like
Yeah.
13.
The whips.
Oh, wow.
We're good though.
But yeah, so
With-
that was
with-
cool.
with
So
the
that's
night
cool.
show money,
I actually,
and then, like, the main money,
Yeah.
or whatever it was. I can't even remember. I've hit my head too many damn times, but
yeah.
it don't matter. But the making the money, those first couple whip cons, I won the second one when they had the ramp year.
Yep.
And at that point, like, I had created some buzz around my whips.
Yeah.
Of just, like, me posting them through social media or whatever, but, like, I was never, like, leading up to X Games. Like, I never was, like, the guy to be like there was a lot of people around me that
Ahead
were
of the
sending
line. Yeah.
sending messages to X Games like, hey, this kid, but I was never, like, poking the bear to them, like, sending them emails and messages like, hey, invite me, like, never,
Yeah.
like, was that guy. And I remember going to X Games Austin in 2016, the last year they had it in Austin, Texas. And I went just to hang out. And they told me when I was there, like, if you had, like, that was the first time I got to meet the X Games people face to face, and they got to meet me as a human and not, like, watch me ride. They all told me, like, hey, if you had your bike, like, you'd be an alternate for this, and someone crashed and they needed an alternate and I didn't have a bike and whatever. So that's kind of how that started. The next year, 2017, was an X Games qualifier at Monster Cup Best Whip. And that was a qualifier to get to be invited to X Games. They take the top 4 to X Games.
This is Monster Cup.
Monster Cup.
Okay.
So this is like
They had a good whip. They had a good jump.
The first couple were the Del Moto for me that I did. And then fortunately enough, right after that, the Monster Cup started going, and they started throwing whip contests in Monster Cup. The first year they did it on the triple on the track.
Oh yeah,
and
in
then
the
it
stadium.
went outside, and it's kind of bounced back and forth from inside and outside.
Yeah.
But that 2016 year, they had a really sick jump in the parking lot, and it was a qualifier. They took the top 4. I got 4th, and I earned my spot in X Games.
Yeah.
So that, for me, and deep down, felt a lot better that I earned my way in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't have to, like, know somebody to, like,
No.
get in or have all these other people communicate to X Games for me to get in. Like, I earned my way in.
Yeah.
You know? And then that first year, like, showed up, and I was like, this is, like, takes me back to being at the Black Friday, at Ocotillo for Black Friday with those dudes. Like, this is my time right now. Like, I have to, like, prove my point.
Was
right
it in
off the bat.
Staples Center? Where was it?
No, it was Minneapolis.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Indoors? Outdoors?
Indoors. Super sick.
Purple stadium.
Purple Stadium.
And I remember going there and, like, just whipping, like, is so fun for me, and, like, the level of pressure
That was
for
a
a
crazy
Supercross is insane compared to being able to go out and throw whips with your friends in front of fucking people in a stadium. That's, like, what dreams are made of, basically.
Sick.
So I remember going there and, like, just walking into the stadium, and I'd already been there before because I raced Supercross there the year before, like 2016 with Darren.
East Coast is toast.
East Coast is toast. We were in the stadium, raced Supercross there before, and I remember one of the on-field, like, or on-course announcers, like, pulled me aside and was asking me about, like, my first X Games and how this pressure amounts to what I do, and I literally, like, I wasn't, like, being ignorant or anything, but I was just, like, kind of laughed at it. Like, this ain't shit compared to being right there in this stadium on the starting line.
Full
with
stadium.
80,000 people.
Yeah.
Like, there's, 10,000 people in an 80,000 person stadium? The place looks
Most of
empty
them are
for
my
X
boys.
Games.
Yeah.
You know, like, that place was fucking sold out for Supercross.
Yeah.
And that pressure is, like, something you can't bottle up. Like, that's just something, unless you experience it, like, you can't, those butterflies that you get in your stomach. But, yeah, anyways, just whip has kind of been the thing, and I've earned my way into X Games, fucking earned my spot back because I medaled the first year, and each year I've medaled, I've earned my way back in.
Oh,
and,
so good.
yeah, now, fortunately, like, if I was to tell my 8-year-old self, like, that I'd be 32, I would have competed in 7 X Games and have 13 medals. I would tell myself I'm high as a fucking kite.
Shit.
High as
Yeah.
a fucking kite.
Yeah,
Oh,
dude.
that's awesome.
But it's just, like, one of those things, like, a pipe dream, like, no dream's too big, and it's, like, just crazy how it's all led me to, like, one thing leads to another.
Your whip, like, think about it. The whip and the way you whip and the whip in general has really, like, made you. Like, you've made it, like, you made yourself and your journey with a certain way that you do that. Like, a certain way that, like, John does turns, or a certain way that people get barreled, or Mark McMorris does certain tricks. Like, that made your career is so cool.
Is it a 3-part whip? I
Yeah.
see it in 3 pieces, but it's also one fluid thing.
Well,
But
every single one of them is definitely it's funny that you say that, because there's 3 kinds of whips.
Yeah.
There's a seat balance, a turn down, and a turn up. Like, all 3 of them have 3 parts to each whip.
Yeah.
It's like the pop, the pull, the pop, the pull, the pop, the lean, or, like, the pop, the turn.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're all different in their own way, and that's what I think is so cool about whip. I'm like, dude, being able to now like look back on it of like more or less being a veteran of this now, of like being 32, and like the next generation of whip kids that are coming up are fucked up. It's gonna be insane.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's
they're
so
starting
sick
to
because
really crank it.
everybody, like, it's now gotten to the point where like if you just have one giant seat bounce and you can't do the other two, like you might not win. Like to that point, X Games, how it's been every single year since the first year, there's never been a turn up or a turn down to win an X Games. It's always been a seat bounce.
It's
every single time.
It's the one when you can go like this.
Yeah,
You're
to that
one.
point. But now it's kind of changing their overall impression, and then the overall impression is the tiebreaker, but the one whip can take it.
The one whip can take it. Yeah, I think the last X Games, for instance, when you got gold, right here in wherever it was,
Ventura.
Yeah, Ventura,
805.
the
hometown.
That's what it was. It was the one, and you did the one, and they're like, okay, done.
Yeah.
Gold.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the one I watched on Instagram stories 600 times in
Yeah.
a row. That's why I have specific questions about
Yeah.
the whips, because I've just
It's-
have broken it down like as much as I can.
It's all about, literally, a whip is all about how you leave the ramp.
Yeah.
It's all in the
it's all
ramp, and then once you
flows.
get the proper pop off the ramp
Yeah.
with like basically looping your bike out and getting your front end up, and then the lean. Like once you get your front end up, that's how you can crack it upside down, because it's all like a fluid motion. But it's like to your point, the three parts of a whip, like a turn up. Todd Potter explained this to me a long time ago. Like a turn up is like you're coming off the lip, yanking with your outside shoulder, dropping your inside hip, and then turning back into it. So every whip is a three-parter. It's just like how to, how you can break it down fundamental-wise on that. But it's pretty sick to all those points. Like the whip's just gotten to such a crazy level. Like after X Games this year, I say every fucking whip contest that was the craziest shit contest I've ever been a part of. Like everyone's just
pushing. Yeah, and like
and on any given night, any one of us can win.
Yeah.
It's just like who gets that
Feeling
right
it,
pop at
just
the right
feeling
time.
it, yeah.
It was probably the best X Games best whip that I've watched. It was
Because it was
really
so
sick.
competitive.
It was
yeah.
really good to watch. The angles were good. The vibe was sick. Like the
Yeah.
whole setting was cool. Didn't even
it
feel
was
like it
awesome.
matters who wins. I love when it's like that.
For
When
sure.
everyone's hyped,
Everyone's hyped for
pushing
each
each
other.
other.
Yeah.
It's just straight up
And
entertainment.
so after X Games, Josh Hill had the big hill jam up at his house, and like they
Who?
had Josh Hill.
I'm just kidding.
Come on.
I'm just kidding.
Josh
Hill's
sickest dude of
The
all
man.
time.
Yeah.
The
Just
man.
legendary, most gnarliest
I
freaking
just
core
picture
motherfucker there
it
is.
all the time. Just a super mini 150
Yeah, obviously
foot
just
gap over the bus.
messing with you.
Yeah.
Look at him now, though. He's doing his.
he can do whatever he
own
wants.
thing.
Yeah, whatever.
The whip contest whips have gotten to such a fucking crazy level, and it's my bread and butter. And then fortunate enough with the X Games of being able to do the quarter pipe the first year, and it becoming a thing in X Games, and now the quarter pipe, like that shit's so fucking psycho.
It's
dude.
absolutely psycho. It's honestly like a whip thing, but taking it to the next level.
Yeah, the consequences are so gnarly.
And I'll tell you the honest truth. Like when it comes to the quarter pipe and the way that I look at it is, Axel did the alley oop.
Yeah.
Has anyone else been doing alley oops?
Corey Creed.
Okay, so like, in my opinion, the quarter pipe thing's amazing. Height. It's still ground level. The quarter pipe thing, bro, you can go. I mean, just think about it. Think about where it can go. And if he's doing alley oops already just for fun and that freaking thing and just filming it,
but to that point,
it can go
Kyle,
crazy.
It can,
But
but
it
I don't
can't.
think it will, because 99% of people that show up and see that thing
Scared.
are absolutely like, no fucking
There's only
way.
what? 4 or 5 or
There's
6?
not,
Like,
there's
no
not
guys
many
that don't
people
do
that
it.
hit it. I mean, now there's definitely like a couple handfuls of people that have hit them, but not a lot of people
Not
have
like
them.
that.
Yeah, but there's
Not like you guys.
there's levels to those
Oh,
other
yeah.
guys.
I mean,
They're
I've
not
seen
going
some of the
full-
gnarliest dudes ever
Yeah.
like show up and look at that and be like, yeah, no. No.
Yeah.
And like there's a reason why
There's
that
a reason. It's a
like
thing.
even
Special.
the freestyle guys that do the trick quarter on the X Games courses before, that thing's 13 feet in a different angle. Ours is 18. And like to basically commit for it, like the level of there's zero room for error. The level of commitment, one thing, but what could go wrong, which is like something we never want to think about. But like
God, it's so gnarly.
it could be really bad. And when you start taking tricks to it, like there's not yeah, I
You
don't know.
can't-
To your point, I would love the fucking
Like,
imagination of seeing tricks
what
on
it
that
can
thing would be
happen.
insane.
'Cause
But
the
I just
wa-
think not many people want to
If
step
you
up
hang
to
up
it.
on top and go straight to flat, that's not
Jake
what you wanna
Jake
be a
Brown.
part of.
Jake Brown
Yeah,
style
or-
stuff.
yeah, like
you
on-
remember Jake Brown X Games skate
Danny Way.
blows out his
Shoes blues,
ankles and
yeah.
shoes and all
The
that. That can happen with this.
Dude, but
And
it's, you're
Show-
on a dr-
people-
we have to show the clip.
I
We
say
have to
this-
show the clip of Jake Brown. We'll show
I
that
say
right
this all the time, but like skaters, like gnarly, all of it. But skaters and bicycles, because they're in shoes, they can get out of things a little easier. Basically, us with boots on, we have fucking like
Oh, yeah.
bricks to our
Yeah.
feet. So when we hit, we stick. We don't hit and slide.
Yeah.
We stick. And most of the time when that sticks, that's ankles, knees, tib fibs, femurs.
I never really thought about that.
And you've gotten all those.
Yeah, you've got all the boxes checked.
Hey, so good talking about Best Whip. Good talking about the transition into like freestyle and all that, and not freestyle, but free riding and making money and going that route. It's like super interesting to me, and like I'm sure to a lot of people that ride dirt bikes and a lot of kids coming up. Like,
Kids that want to be the next Tyler Bereman.
I mean, dude, kids can be the next Bearman.
that's
Kids
an
can
actual
be the
thing now.
next Pastrana.
There's
Kids
a lot of
can
them.
be the next
There's a lot of
Pastrana.
them.
Kids can be the next Axel. And there's only a handful of you and your type of people. There's only a handful of people that have done this so far. So there's so much room for growth, and there's so much room for other kids to make their mark if they do it the right way.
Yeah.
And it's all that. And I think a lot of it comes from your passion and your commitment and everything to the sport, but also like the way that you're able to even have passion or commitment is to so like we're all just humans, we're all just going through life, right? Like I'm just going through life, Jeff's just going through life bartending, and I'm going through life selling solar, and we're doing all these things that there's billions of people in the world that are just trying to figure this life out. And ultimately, like, I think what the main goal in life in general is like, I mean, I don't know about everyone else, but for me, it's like, man, I just want to be happy. Like, I just want to enjoy my lifestyle. I just want to enjoy like day to day. And like, I want to keep learning things and always. So like, I feel like you're very connected in that sense, right? Like, you have this connection with life in a form that's super unique and like special.
Yeah.
And you're able to like live your dreams. Like, bro, you're living the dream. You are. And to embody that all within yourself and keep going day after day and keep progressing with creative, unique stuff and being happy, like, I think that's like one of the coolest things about like your life. Even back from the Ocotillo trip to when we went to Ocotillo and you did certain things and whatever, and the Best Whip thing, and you growing, but it's like you still get up every day and you brush your teeth and take a shit.
I found it interesting.
Do whatever it is you do. So
What you told us earlier about how you said nothing is just randomly
Nothing,
happening on this
yeah.
earth, and that kind of like, you know what I mean? You
Yeah,
either, you
so-
either
It
believe
does.
that or you don't.
it does. That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's an energy. It's energy.
To your point, I've I've always tried to like lead by example in a sense of like, just like I said, like people ask me who I am, like I'm just me to the best of my ability. Like I'm super fortunate to be able to do what I love, but I'm someone that people can relate to. And at the end of the day, we're all humans on this experience through life together. Like that's all it is. Like I read when I was a Grom, I was sitting on the beach drinking a Snapple, and I fucking Snapple fact under the lid.
I love where this is going. On the beach, drinking a Snapple and a Snapple fact. I love
I
it.
read the Snapple fact, and it said that there's more stars in the galaxy than grains of sand on Earth. And I was picked up a handful of sand, and I'm like, just an ignorant Grom, like, no fucking way. You know how many?
No way,
There's no way.
Screw you, Snapple.
Yeah,
You don't know
there's no
shit.
way. And then as I, you said, like, obviously getting older, you learn shit in school and all that. But, like, now, like, literally, we're a fucking speck of dust floating through time. We're all made up of energies and frequencies, like, everything to, like, the fucking plants outside to the ocean right here, like the tide coming in and out constantly, like everything's forever like evolving and changing, and like we're all just humans. And like the crazy part of where I'm at now, and I last year at Mammoth Moto I had a pretty hectic crash and I compounded my arm and I was out cold for
Wait a minute. Pause.
Right.
So probably a couple of years prior to that compound thing that happened at Mammoth, you also compound your femur on the downhill, and I freaking was there and carried you back to the ambulance, like going, hey, you were like, we were in the same cabin. We were staying together during that time. And God, dude, I just can't even imagine the fact of going through that time after time, and then you did it again, and like,
And you're
how
getting
do you
hurt.
keep pushing through all this? That's what I'm talking about, the happiness in life, and you keep progressing, and you just keep pushing through.
So,
like, it's
dude,
amazing.
never say die. Like sorry, I didn't want to lose this real quick before, but I'll remember what I was about to say. But when I did my compound at Mammoth last year and I hit my head really hard, like it was bad. Like I was out for almost 12 minutes and they shoved an incubator down my throat because I swallowed my tongue.
Oh, okay.
I like lost like a solid month. I don't remember shit. But during that time, there was a Red Bull did a thing called Zion's House. So Zion, right, the skater, he did a mental health like awareness thing with a bunch of hand-picked athletes from Red Bull.
Okay.
So we were able to do that. Salema Masekela was the like mediator of it, which was super cool. We got to do underwater breath holding and like all kinds of really cool things like yoga and some different just like talking with groups of like people and
Zen.
a bunch of stuff. But in that we learned that like there's so many athletes across other action sports that I look up to, that we held this space for each other to like open up more or less. And we're basically athletes, right? We're paid to have this hat on our head. We're paid to show up and have a smile on our face, and we're paid to like act like we're not human. And no matter what the fuck you're dealing with, you got to put a smile on because that's what we paid you to do. But at the end of the fucking day, what I took from that whole thing and all these conversations with these other action sports athletes, like, we're all the same. We're all human at the end of the day. Because we are an athlete and we're made up of like this, we have it all figured out through social media. Like, you're a Red Bull athlete. You're getting to do all these cool things. Like, don't get me wrong, we do get to do a lot of cool shit, but at the end of the day, we're still fucking human. We still deal with the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of life, just like anyone else. And it's sometimes like not saying that it's harder and or like someone has it easier or harder, but like sometimes it is a little more challenging to navigate that when you don't have a choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
And
just
these
your
situations of like learning that, and it's like it's kind of crazy of just like the I guess back to that human experience. We're all on this together. Like you never know what someone's going through, you know? Like you look at some of the happiest people on the outside looking in of Robin Williams and these guys that had like took their lives, like the happiest people could have the worst.
Yeah, you never know.
Never know what someone's going through. So just think why I am the way I am is because of that. Like I have that like perspective and like looking through a different lens in my head of like just what would love do? Like that's, you know, love just love and just
what would love
do?
Yeah.
Loving like so
God, that's good.
What would love do?
So like I said of that to like everyone feels like you have it all figured out. Like we're all fucking humans and we will never ever till the day we fucking check out of this place have it figured out. We will be learning till the day we are gone. Like nonstop learning. So I attribute a lot of this to my coach. I have a dude that I reached out to. Like we're this stigma, this day and age that we're men, we're macho men. Like
A mental health coach.
Basically,
Yeah.
he hates that term.
Yeah.
But I'll get there in a sec. But he hates that term. But it's more or less like he likes a spiritual accomplice.
Okay. I like that.
Anyway, so when we're men, macho men, we're basically the stigma of like being men, like you have to hold shit in, right? Like if you talk about shit, if you see a therapist and people know that it's like, oh, there's something wrong with you, right? Being vulnerable is everything. Like, and that's what I've learned. Like flashback to almost 3 years ago, my grandpa Captain on RIP. He was my dad, basically. My dad worked a lot and would pick me up at 6 p.m. when he dropped me off in the morning, go to work, pick me up when he got off work. And my grandma and grandpa raised me. Like my grandpa was my dude. He's the reason why I got my first bike. He took me to the races for years. Like he was more or less like my dad. And when I say that, like I have an amazing relationship with my dad. But my grandpa was like that guy for me.
He laid the foundation.
The money, like the behind with like the money of like when I started making money, like making sure I was doing the right things with it and teaching me along the way of like my taxes and just all the shit that like I didn't fucking pay attention in school. Like I didn't learn jack shit in school. I've learned everything fucking hard way.
They don't teach you how to do taxes in school.
No, they don't teach you shit in school.
They don't teach you much.
But when my grandpa passed away, was rough, and I was on my way to go see him because I knew he was doing really bad, and I was halfway home, and my dad called me and said he didn't make it, and I was like, a lot of it weighed on me because I just wanted to tell him I loved him, you know, but he knows that he lived it.
Oh, he knows,
you know,
so much, yeah.
So, anyways, I got to go there. So I had 1 week to grieve it. Came home. I spent 1 week with my family up north. Pinned it home. Had basically 5 days of a fucking head down X Games grind. 5 days. X Games 2021. Axles. Compete and whip quarter. Got third in both. I landed off the quarter on the last jump. When I landed, I knew it was my last one, and I just like rode off. Like rode off into the hills by myself, like off camera, live TV. I just pinned it off and I just like dropped my bike and laid on the ground, took my helmet off and just like let it out. Like I bottled up so much and just put it over here because I had this task at hand. But like mentally, physically I was there, but mentally I was here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So when I had that, I reached out to some friends and I'm like, I don't know what to do, but I just need to talk to somebody. And I got pointed in the direction of Troy Eckert. Troy Eckert is an amazing human. He was basically employee number 1 at Volcom.
Volcom, yeah, I remember it.
Since 91, ran Volcom for 20 years, was like the head honcho over there, marketing guy, like did everything, created all their films. He's been there, done that,
The
to
guy.
traveling,
He's the guy.
partying, surfing, athletes, action sports,
Yeah.
all of it. Well, anyways, he left Volcom. He started working with like a mentor life coach dude, and he liked it so much that him and that coach teamed up and started a coaching company called Radical Voyage. So when I kind of hit that wall after X Games, and I looked myself in the mirror and was like, I need fucking help. Then I reached out to Troy, and I started working with Troy. I work with him once a week for an hour, and it's the best thing that I ever did in my whole entire life.
We're just keeping you in check and
Just
putting the perspective in place.
just doing the work, like digging deep, looking yourself in the mirror, digging deep, and taking care of yourself, learning how to take care of yourself. Like, that's one thing that I don't idle. I have built my career based on adversity. Adversity has gotten me to the point of where I am because it's that never say die mentality or attitude or mindset of like, when I graduated preschool, I slid down the slide. They asked me what I want to be when I grew up, and I said I want to be a professional motorcycle rider. Whether that was a racer, being whatever, growing up on the Krusty movies, like if that was being a guy jumping and filming
Whatever it
projects,
be.
whatever
Yeah.
it may
Succeeding
be,
at
I
that.
just want to ride my dirt bike and not sit at a desk. So to that point, like I went race route, I went, all these other routes, and this is where I've landed, and it's like where I'm meant to be in my eyes,
Yeah.
But to that point, with now working with Troy, it's the best thing I've ever done. I'm going on almost 3 years with working with him, and it's the best thing I could have ever done. Troy now works with, and I don't want to like put him on blast or anything, but he works with a lot of other athletes, and he actually works with Griffin Colapinto. And Griffin just had the most craziest year of his life.
Beautiful. Yeah, I know.
And just started working with him, and his brother Crosby both work with Troy.
Yeah.
And they
guys
both
rip.
made the tour,
Yeah,
and
Crosby
they've
made the
stepped
tour, yeah.
into their own true, authentic self and saw their
it's
potential.
awesome.
So
I love those guys. Yeah.
in my eyes, like, not tooting my own horn, but like he has helped me realize my fullest potential, and with the work on myself off the bike. And that has translated to my on the bike riding. And one of the things that we talk about all the time, what would love do? If you let love guide these situations of like love for what you do, love for the situation, whatever it is, like the world could use more of that. And that has helped me so much.
Yeah.
And as of late, and one of the other things of like, we have these funny sayings that we talk about all the time, and like one of the other ones is raw. The word raw. It's an easy 3-letter word, simple, right? When you think of the word raw, like if you really break it down, how is it spelled? R-A-W. If you break that down, if you have reverence towards every situation, you're in awe of every situation, and you wonder from every situation, like I try to live in that raw
In that
mindset of like being, like having gratitude towards every situation, being in awe of situations, and then using that as like expanding your own imagination,
Oh, yeah.
of like
Just full engagement.
just full engagement all the time. And then another one that we have is like thankful and grateful, tag you're it, or like the what would love do, or the love and
Stay in
wisdom,
that mindset.
love and wisdom. Like that's what I've been trying to like learn from and like guide myself in that way. And we just had a call yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago, and we had this funny thing like raw tag law, like just all one word, like making
yeah.
a like. And if you really think about that, like, and all of it, it's just so special, and it's just like a human experience of it all. What I've learned from him, from just being vulnerable, digging within yourself, taking care of yourself, like it radiates to every other facet of life. Of like when I feel the work off the bike, like I get on my bike and I feel like instantly better because I'm just have a more clear mindset going into it, you know. And I think just to the learning how powerful the mind really is, like back to the Red Bull mental health thing that we did, like in a really good time for me. It was crashed at Mammoth in June of last year, and my imagination event was September. So I had literally 3-month grind of 1 month not remembering anything, like crawling myself back to life, and then 2 months of a crazy grind just to get back to imagination. And
But the mammoth thing was compound your arm.
yeah, so I got these 2 little lumps right here. That's where both the bones went out.
So you have, what do you have in there? Like metal
I have
plates or?
I have 2 rods, 2 plates and 12 screws.
You have a lot of hardware.
How does it feel? Like, how does your foot feel with you saying that? Because it's pretty crazy. If I were to think to myself that my bones aren't there, but the screws are acting as bones, then I would think to myself, yeah, how does that actually feel? Because you are doing gnarly stuff day in and day out. Is it?
Well, I'm walking. I'm talking.
You're good.
I might be limping, but
You're good.
the wheels are still on.
You got
the
electric
wheels ain't
start.
falling off. Like,
okay.
yeah, it hurts at times. Not gonna lie, for sure. There's days when I'm done riding and I like wake up and takes me an hour to get moving in the morning. But it's the price you pay, man. It's you got to pay to play, and it's not if, it's when. And back to the point of like before we did our piss break, like I was saying, like the adversity and these injuries, like I've built my life off of adversity, of like that's really taught me how to take care of myself in those times of like not only physically but mentally, because those injuries are mentally draining. Dark times, dark places, and figuring out how to work through that, like and you know, back to the Zion's house thing, like learning how powerful our brains really are, and then like that word of mindset, right? Like when I did an underwater breath hold at the Zion's house, and I did 3.5 minutes underwater.
What?
And
Dude,
that's
impressive.
I really got
gnarly.
to realize how powerful your brain really is when you will it to do something. And I've always known that, like, my never say die attitude, never give up attitude of like all these injuries, how many times I could have fucking had the opportunity to be like, fuck this, like why am I doing this? But it's the first question we ask the doctor every time of, when can I ride? You know, how long till I can ride?
First thing.
How long?
And it's
when you get hurt.
And to me, like
How long is it?
I've gone through times of like after I hit my head last year at Mammoth and after Imagination, I had like a severe adrenal come down from like hitting my head, almost dying, to the nonstop grind to just be at my event, finishing my event, and then the come down of that was just my anxiety and my depression, like everything of like the highest of the highs to then like now what, and like I was just all over the place.
It was a
but
mix
in that,
of it, yeah.
I've learned how to take care of myself, and like this going into this year, I like approached it a lot differently with love and wisdom and all these things that I talked about that I've worked on with my coach off the bike has translated onto my bike and then into everything else in my life, from my relationships to my, you know, business relationships to romantic relationships, like fiance, getting married next year, and like all these things. Like it's all culminating to a space and time that we're at right now because of everything I've gone through. And there's so many things. There's times where like I broke my back this last year in Mammoth. Mammoth is a bad place to me.
Dude, yeah. I mean, there's multiple times.
I broke it on the snowboard, and I did that snow project last year. And
I like how this year, I actually saw you when I was there, because I haven't been there in a few years, but I went there Remember I saw
Yeah.
you and I took a selfie with you.
What are all those first place bear trophies from? You said you haven't been to Mammoth.
Hey,
very
I have a
much?
lot of bears, but I don't have any first place ones. So respect.
Kyle's
You got
bears,
4.
dude.
Yeah, I got a few, but I mean, that was not the pro class. That was the vet.
Hey,
Doesn't matter.
hey,
bro.
a win's a
30
win.
intermediate.
You got to take a win.
You beat the
however
other
you can
39
get it.
dudes on the gate.
It was
that's all.
actually only my second time up there. I went there for the first time the year before that. I had been there years in the past, way back in the past, and just to watch, but I never raced it. And I went there when I was working for Spy, just working with the guys, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna race vet weekend, and then I'll see how fun it is and work all week. I just worked at the amateur races and worked with like all you kids that were growing up and doing all that, and then I got like 5th or 3rd or 4th or some positions like that throughout the weekend in the 4 motos, and I'm like, I think maybe I should come back and try to win this thing next year. It'd be pretty cool. And I really love the vibe of Mammoth.
Yeah,
I know you
it's
say
the best.
actually Mammoth isn't a good place for you, but you actually really deep down love Mammoth. It's just really hit
So
you in the
to
gut
that
and taught
point-
you a lot.
To that point, I've had some of my best times ever in Mammoth.
Right.
And I guess back to where I was going with the Mammoth thing. It was rough on me because I did my back this year, and the when I did my arm last year at Mammoth at the moto, I did my back this year in winter when I was snowboarding. Just another one of those stupid.
No.
Can't take me
You
anywhere
showed
places.
me
I know.
that on your phone.
Yeah.
And
So
that
if you're
is
gonna be
gnarly.
dumb, you
We'll
better be
show that
tough,
too.
kids. If you're gonna be dumb, you better be
Have
tough.
you seen that?
What?
No,
His
he
crash
hasn't.
on his snowboard. And
No,
I don't think many
you guys
people
got
have.
me
Anyways,
thinking about Mammoth.
keep
'cause
going.
So
keep going.
anyways,
I have a
I
special.
after my arm injury, I had talks with Troy, and I'm like deep down, like I see, like secretly, like not secretly, but like I don't love pain, but deep down, I like secretly really
Something
kind of
about it.
enjoy it.
Seek it, yeah.
You know, I kind of
Ooh.
enjoy the fact of adversity and like
Yeah, I know what you're
facing
saying.
it head on and figuring it out
Yeah.
with a goal of like, no matter what, this thing is not gonna beat me. This thing
Yeah.
that obsesses us, you know.
As gnarly as it can hurt and be, yeah.
And that's just what I've learned of like, in it all. Like this last one, I'm breaking my back. I really understood like, okay, like for my longevity of what I do, I cannot continue to do this to myself. I need to learn how to take better care of myself and basically not have these like ups and downs. 'Cause
Yeah.
each time it gets harder to climb that mountain again. So if I can learn how to like put it in cruise control and then kind of do that,
Like tame it.
it'll and but I'd never idle. Like this shit feeds my soul. Like, and that's what I've learned in this whole thing. Like I took 3 after imagination last year, and I had this adrenal come down. I told myself I'm not jumping my dirt bike till next year. Like I'm done. I've had enough. Like I need a break. I still trail rode every time it rained, and I rode a ton, but just for fun, just like to get away from my device or just get away from life. I just go put my helmet on and check out.
It really is an outlet.
So I was doing this, and then towards the end of last year, I was fucking like, I was somewhere else. Like I was so just like irritable and just like having these talks with Troy, and he's like, I would told him like I feel like I need to do this. Like I need to go jump again. I need to do this. And he's like, why do you feel like you need to? And he's like, from what I'm hearing, it's like it's because it feeds your soul. Like these things that like when your body, your soul is telling you to like, I need it, then you know it's time, you know, and you
Just
know
get
you've
it.
like, yeah. So anyways, I've learned how all these things of just, you know, how to take better care of myself. And I think that's one thing that I'm on this journey of like, we're ever evolving. We'll never, ever have it all figured out. But I am learning how to take better care of myself. And it starts with just, you know, the health and the mindset of everything and like the ebb and flow of life. Like you can, everyone that has it seems like they have it figured out. Like they fucking don't. They deal with everything that everyone else deals with all the time, but they might just show it differently, you know? Like, we'll never have it figured out. So to like be okay in these times of like when you're feeling off, like not trying to fix it, but just sit with it, you know, and sit with yourself and look yourself in the mirror. And like, I don't know, I've just had all these things. I set this, like, I call it the Zen zone at my house. And I have a sauna in my backyard and an ice bath. And like, I've just made it like a daily routine or ritual in the morning that like I basically take like 2 hours in the morning to like not do anything and just to myself. And I've learned that I've like really starting to learn myself better, and like it'll be a learning process till the day that I'm gone, you know? But I'm just trying to just be better each day. It's not about like being something you're not. It's just like just be better, try to be better than you were yesterday.
So you're saying you're not just like this famous badass Red Bull athlete with no worries that just like floats through the sky and fucking signs autographs and everything's perfect.
Yeah,
it's a little heavier than that. It's a little gnarlier.
We're human, man. Like we're all on this human experience together, and we're all messy as fuck, and that's what makes us as humans so beautiful, you know? Like,
I mean, it sounds like you put a lot of work into it. So
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing that like I can't reiterate enough to like people watching and anybody that could be dealing with anything. Like, this is something that, you know, unfortunately earlier this year, like losing our friend Pat Casey and Axel, and like dealing with, you know, Axel having to deal with the whole situation, losing his friend in his hands. Like, it really puts things into perspective. But like learning how to like be vulnerable in these situations and create that space for one another to like, you never know what someone's going through. And there's like, you know, there's times where we have to get put on a pedestal, and like we're just like everybody else. Like we're at the end of the day we're doing what we love, and it's awesome. Don't get me wrong. Like, I can't reiterate that enough. Like, we're all so thankful, so fortunate. Yeah. But we're also human. We also deal with things just like everybody else, from business to losses to whatever it may be. Like, we deal with it all, and like just being okay with it all. And like, when it's your time, you know? Like, nothing's random that I've been learning and figuring out. Like, all these correlations and things in life, like none of this shit's random. You're right where you need to be when you need to be there, and life will show that to you if you're willing to look in the mirror and just absorb it, you know?
That's it.
Yeah, no,
and it's coming.
Easy to preach and hard to practice, obviously. But like, the more you dig in, like the more you can find, you know, and like the answers you might sometimes be looking for are right underneath your ball cap. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Right there. Like, it's
just be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, man. And I guess going to that in the mindset, and I guess sticking on this topic, like, that's one thing that I've really learned of like how to tap into my own brain. And I've really understood how powerful the brain really is. And when you can see something, you can make it happen. And just, I was thinking about this on the way down here, but like in the time, like I got this question. So just finished Red Bull Imagination a couple weeks ago, drove home from Kansas, stopped at Red Bull Rampage on the way home. Red Bull Rampage is the craziest thing that you have to, if you witness it with your own two eyes one time, that's all it takes, and you'll be a lifer. It's insane what it is. And the fact was, going there and all these guys are like inspired by what we're doing. But I got inspired from them on the whole thing. Like,
it's a whole different,
it's just like everything. Like, I kind of had a brain fart of where I was going with that, but seeing these guys in the mindset. So I guess like that mindset, like I just lived that the week before, imagination, and all this is coming out of my brain of like the imagination course and like all these things that I've envisioned and wanted to build, and finally have the team of the Dream Tracks crew of the best builders in the business to basically make my dreams a reality. And obviously Red Bull like backing my whole vision is insane, but being able to do that and the mindset that it takes of like seeing all these jumps, and like I take 10 of the best free riders in the world and bring them to one spot, and they all look to me like, what? Jumping dude? What to where? Yeah. So I have to step into that like leader role and lead by example. And because I can see it and like it's coming out of my fucked up brain, I can see it. Like it's point A to point B,
and they're
like,
all putting it in.
Some of the crazy.
I have to be the guinea pig. So the mindset for that is different. You know what I mean? But it's somewhere where when and maybe it's just experience with it, but I just think differently when it comes to that. Like I know where to take my mind and basically go to tunnel vision and block everything else out. And I've learned that so much. So I guess to my point with the Rampage thing, I stopped by Rampage.
No, but let me interrupt for a second. You, with that timing thing that you're talking about right now, I just can't let you talk about it and continue on and go to nowhere. But remember where you're talking about going into Rampage. Don't lose that. But your timing and the way that you do things, like how you're just talking about it like nonchalantly, that is what it is. That makes all this happen, dude.
For sure.
From the life perspective to the way that you like ride the bike, the exact like things that happen in your brain with your eyes and you seeing like the trajectory of a jump and like a landing that's over here that you can't even see when you're here, but at that time you know exactly how much throttle to give it and where to put your body and how to do it and land exactly where you're supposed to. And not only do you do all those things, but you do it in a way that's like the perfect form and style and execution. And like, that's what makes everyone. I'm telling you, dude, like all those things.
For sure.
From that Ocotillo trip till now to imagination.
Yeah.
That's what it is your just connection with everything.
For sure. With all of it. Like everything culminating at a space and a time, you know, and it's all experience of like
you're so good at it.
What I've been through to that point. But like until recently, like I've started to realize like how powerful my brain really is when it comes to like I can go through these motions of getting ready for X Games, and I'm riding by myself every day for a month straight in brutal summer heat, and it just feels like a grind. It feels
Mountain?
It just feels like a grind. It feels like a job at that point. Like it just is like you get there and you're like, you don't know. You're just almost so over it at that point because you're just like, just nonstop preparing. That then once I get to a situation like that, like I know that I'm a gamer at the end of the day. And when the lights, camera, action, when it's time to flip that switch and I turn on, I go somewhere else. I go mentally somewhere else. Like, and so to the imagination point, being the guinea pig and doing all this and like seeing it first, like I know that mindset firsthand of what they have to do and go into Red Bull Rampage and climbing the mountain. And it's scary just to climb the fucking mountain. And these guys got to do it all day with tools and hoses and bikes on their back. And like, it's insane. So I was, I go every year. It's my 8th Rampage, and I get to be there for the last couple practice days before finals, and I get to see these guys step into their own mindset. And like the parallels and the perspective that I have from just living that at my own event.
Straight into theirs.
Straight into that.
Straight into it.
And
it's crazy.
And not only that, like they're on the edge of a fucking cliff if like they can't just case something and like ride out of it. Or like come into something and be like, oh no, I'm not gonna jump that.
do this.
Oh my God. I can't even fathom it.
It's fucked up. So
Amazing.
the parallels of that, of like that mindset thing, like the mindset is so powerful, and you can use that with anything in life. It's not just for action sports or competing on what we do. Like you can do it with anything when it comes to business or a relationship, or just like everything's all about perspective and mindset. And that's just a lot of shit that I've learned from my coach, and it's special, man. It's like we're humans, and we're built on energies and frequencies just like everything else in this world, you know? So it's just cool to be able to be here and living, breathing, talking, and experiencing human life with my fucking cool ass friends.
That's cool, man.
It's amazing.
That's cool to hear. That's
Yeah,
like the modern mindset and brain of like a action sports athlete has evolved so much.
So
and like
much.
it used to just be like, fuck yeah, hit
For
it.
sure. And like, to that
was
point,
it. Yeah.
but
My
to that
truck's
point, like
lifted.
different
Cool.
strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
Not everybody thinks the way I do, and that's because of the work that I've done on myself
Yeah.
off the bike in recent times. Like it's literally culminating in a space and time, and like I feel like I am my true best self. I'm coming into that, and like I'm just scratching the surface, you know, like with myself leading by love and wisdom, and letting that guide my way. Like that is only gonna open up so many more doors. And like when one door closes, another one opens. When at every door is a new opportunity. You know what I mean? Like it's, if you think about things like that, and
they're cliches because they're true.
they're true.
Everyone's saying it because it's real.
The best thing I've always just been like, it really just is what it is.
It is.
Everything just really is.
And
what
it
it
ain't.
is.
sure.
And it ain't what it's not. And
Hey, so,
that's it, dude.
oh,
So
what
I
were you
guess
saying?
let's
Sorry.
talk on like the imagination stuff a little bit. Like we just were touching on that, but that whole thing starting back in, you know, when I did the Spy project, when you were working with Spy and we had the Spy Park at
That was
Beaumont.
baby imagination.
It really was.
Baby
And
That was a baby imagination.
that was one of the coolest shit.
All
So with that, like that was really cool to kind of before imagination was ever even a thought in my mind. And then a few years later, go to Eric Swan, shout out Swan, the Swan Pound, and they had Cruise Fest, the Fest Series mountain bike event. So free ride mountain bikers basically did the FBM tour. So freestyle bike, I don't know, something.
Masters.
So these Fest Series guys started that, and Swan, Eric Swan, to his point, was the sickest dude ever. I've ridden at his house for years growing up. I was a Grom, little shit Grom, riding a 60 around when Eric was winning the pro classes at the time growing up in NorCal. So I'd been to his house and ridden his track a bunch, and then, you know, years and years later, the mountain bike crew from Santa Cruz and Aptos and stuff, they went and met Swan, and they built this really sick mountain bike line up in the trees at Eric's house.
Next level. We
Next
could show
level.
clips from
And,
that too. There's
So yeah, these guys, the FBM Freeride Mountain Bike Tour, they all were doing contests. They got over it, and they started like their own freeride thing, and then that was the Fest Series. They basically bring everybody in. An athlete will host an event and build a line, bring all their friends in. The friends will stay in an Airbnb, party all week, and film a sick like video from jamming the line all week.
wow.
And that was like the recipe for Fest, right?
Yeah.
So when I got to experience that the first year, that was like you can do this for moto
Yeah, just light
on
bulbs are going
such a fucking on steroids.
Yeah.
Straight up. And those guys are on bikes without a motor. They have to get the momentum down the hill.
Yeah.
Just like Rampage and shit. Like these guys have to fucking use the mountain to get the speed for the jump. We have lightning in the bottle in our fucking right hand of our power in our right hand. Like we can go uphill, downhill, side hill, like whichever way you want to fucking go. And the possibilities of that, like my wheels started turning early on, and the ideas of this, and then fast forward, like got on Red Bull a few years later, and pitched this idea of imagination back in 2000 shit, I don't even know, 18, when I met Jason Baker and filmed my first Red Bull project, and just got to talking about the idea of this event. And he had a spot. Jason Baker told me he had a spot in Kansas that he knows this guy, Adam LaRoche, that played baseball, owns this property. They did Ryan Dungey's cornfield video.
The corn video.
At the same property.
That was a cool video.
Shout out
Cool
Dungy.
videos.
Shout out
It was a
Cornfield.
unique, cool video.
Yeah, so Baker's crew, the
Nice
Dream
work,
Tracks
Dunge.
crew came in
The Dunge.
and built that track 6 months before. They planted the corn all around the track. The corn grew for 6 months. They came back and they filmed it,
Nice.
which was sick. But anyways, one thing led to another. We went out to the place, did a site check. I pitched this whole idea to Red Bull about imagination and a concept for a video to then it could turn into a contest. And then
Yeah.
Red Bull jumped on board right away. They saw my vision. It's not often that a company sees your vision
And runs
but
with
then
it, yeah.
backs it, you know? So yeah, then 2 years of talks and not knowing if it was going to happen. And then sure as hell, 2020, the
Boom.
world just stops. Pandemic.
COVID.
I'm like, oh, my pipe dream an event, like,
Yeah.
Later.
Gone.
later. And then Red Bull, like, with the pandemic hurting for content at the time because
Yeah.
the world was shut down, obviously. This thing with this project and it being in Kansas in the middle of nowhere and
Yeah.
skeleton
Kinda
crew,
made
we were
sense.
able to basically embark on this journey of this monster that we've created. And like, it's a Red Bull event. It's not a monster event. When I say monster, it's a fucking beast, not a AIDS drink.
Whoa.
I'm just kidding. Shout out.
Beast.
Monster.
He's just kidding. That's
Anyway,
true, though. That's true.
I think just being able to create this thing and this thing, you know, and watch this thing grow and plant these seeds, and each year we've gotten closer to the vision that I originally set. But first year when Red Bull came in, it got the contest thrown on it right away, which I saw in like a 5-year plan, you know, and that's what I pitched to them. But because of the world stopping and they needed stuff, like the contest happened right away. And
Do you think it was better like that? Like you didn't have a full.
could go either way.
Yeah.
Could go either way.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
like free riding's not a competition. Like you said, the best riding comes from when people are feeding off of each other.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
things just start to happen, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not me versus you. It's like
Us versus.
us
Free
versus
riding?
we versus us,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
To your point, the one thing that was cool was free riding has zero platform at all. Like, I almost hate the word free riding because it's like, to me it's soul riding. Like, being in moto and what we do, people are like, oh, if you're not out in Beaumont shoveling jumps, you're not a free rider. That's like,
Yeah, there needs to be a place for it.
yeah.
And it needs to be able to, it's like, you know, there was supercross and motocross, and then there was like freestyle. But it's like that whole free ride part of it, that is a thing in its own. So how do you show that to the world on like a contest controlled level?
Yeah.
And I think the only way to do it is what you're doing. So really congrats on everything
Thank
that
you.
you've guys do. I tune in, I watch it, and I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's 100% like a skate park for dirt bikes, and that formula, that recipe, like, dude, I've spent my whole life going to the tracks in the passenger seat with my grandpa driving, and I mind ride the hills.
Yeah.
On the side of
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
on the
Oh yeah,
side.
all the time. You can be like,
You're
yeah.
seeing all the hills, and you're just imagining this, and like I've now been able to like
Yep. Do it.
create my imagination.
And you're
each
just getting
year.
started.
I'm just getting started with it, and like you think like that formula, there's rolling hills
Oof.
and dirt all over the
All
world.
over, yeah.
It's all
You can
starts
do
with
anything,
an
yeah.
imagination and creativity. And the one thing that I said a lot this year at Imagination, it's like imagination is creation. Like
Yeah, it's awesome.
You're not being able to create anything without an imagination. So like the fact that like that as itself embodies so much more than just free riding or two wheels or whatever it is, like that message like can speak wonders, you know? So
Yeah.
being able to see it come to reality, and it's a skate park for dirt bikes, dude. There's so many options, and like there's like 80 plus jumps on the course. But if you start looking at those jumps and like the tranny finding, and we're in 2023, that sounds super bad, tranny finding. But like if you're looking for transition, there's transition.
There's some
everywhere
transitions out there.
There is
in the middle of nowhere. You can find some transition.
You can find tranny wherever you look these days. Actually, it's all over the place.
Hey, dude, just like great hearing about all that. I think I really want to like tap into some different style like stories with you.
I want to know about a story about a naked dude on a dirt bike. That's all I know. I want to know about this story.
Well, it was trickling around when you showed up, and I honestly been wondering myself. I don't even know why you were naked.
honestly,
Born that way.
Why was it?
I don't know either, man. When we just
Well,
talked
like,
about this
Where,
off air,
I don't. Where was it? What happened? How did it go down?
All right, so 2000.
What year was?
16?
Is it? I could totally.
15
do
or
it.
16. It was shortly before me and Darren did East Coast's Toast, so it was 15.
You guys were
something
cooking
right.
up the toast at that time.
Darren Durham.
Yeah.
Darren Durham.
All
Shout
right.
out Darren Durham.
Yeah. Ripper.
Special human. Insane dude on dirt.
Oh, he's so talented.
I would get pissed when he didn't win
So,
Supercrosses. 'cause he's so good.
2015
He's so good.
summer, Kyle was working for Spy. Cade Niffing was riding for Spy, and he qualified for Loretta's and was going to race. We decided to take the Spy Fun Mover and drive it to Loretta's. Me, Darren, Cade, and Kyle. And
How about
pretty-
that group?
Yeah.
so
That's a candid bunch right
that
there.
group, being a fly on the wall in that motorhome,
Yeah.
Fun wall, dude. But yeah,
that fly
that
had
was a
some
good trip.
fun. Anyway, so we drove to Loretta's, and on the way we stopped a couple places to ride. One of the places, Robbie Raynard's place, and shout out Robbie Raynard,
Yeah.
legend,
Where's that? Oklahoma?
Guys.
Oklahoma.
Insane.
Yeah.
And we were riding at Raynard's, and I was just coming off of a broken femur at the time. And wasn't riding. I had I was such a shit grom look, like long.
Oh, yeah.
I dyed my hair blonde and then dyed it teal, and my hair was like 3 different colors, and I looked like a fucking bum underneath the freeway over here. You know?
Yeah, just running it.
And we took Cade riding. I was ripping around on Ryan, was it?
What
we took
was
Ryan
that?
Walters KLX 140 because Ryan was flying.
It was a
Loretta's,
140.
So we took the 140 with us.
Or was it a TTR?
No, it was KLX.
KLX.
Yeah.
140
Okay.
is a little bigger.
Same.
Same
Yeah.
type of bike.
Just a little
KLX.
bigger than
Same Cowie,
110.
basically.
Little
TTR
4-stroke
125.
thing. Okay.
Yeah. To that point, I don't know how the fuck I got naked. But I was naked, and I did the fucking on any
And-
Sunday,
Yeah.
did a bar turn, and I pointed at you, and then I landed sideways, and
You
just
wait.
got
You
the
point. You did a
biggest
No.
huckabuck.
finger point.
Yeah, like full cross up. Like he was like pointed at
But
me
he's
in the air.
But he's butt naked.
Slow down.
And the bike's like crossed
it's,
up.
It's in
and
slow
then he
mo.
like
too.
grabs the thing and doesn't quite clear the jump, I don't think, and just
I
it was
tagged
so
the jump and
gnarly, dude.
got
Ready-
the biggest swap out of it, but saved it.
All right.
just straight ball slap.
So yeah, to that point, I don't know how the fuck I got naked, but I did it. And
That's fine.
But
I
the
didn't
thing
die.
is the dirt on the track. Okay, so it was like red clay dirt, and the dirt on the track is like when the red clay like dries,
Yeah, it
it's
rained.
like
Oh, you'll get
It
it's like
rained
clay,
right
like
before.
it's like rock hard.
So
So
it's
it's like
straight
daggers
clumpy,
just coming
clumpy,
up. Yeah.
dried red clay.
Oh, so if you
Sketch.
crash on that, it is
Dead.
literally worse than crashing on like smooth concrete.
Cheese
Like,
grater.
It's cheese grating.
Jeez,
Wait, you had a
grater.
broken femur too, or you were?
I did like this
wrong
was
with
in
you?
August and I broke my femur in June, so this was 2 months after.
But you know what?
In that time, we also went to the Parker Tube float, and I floated down the river with you on an air mattress.
Oh yeah, you
on
did.
blood thinners, and the doctor told me not to be in the direct sunlight, and I laid on a fucking air mattress on the river for 8 hours.
Worst
And my
sunlight you could
whole body
possibly
was
Oh, yeah.
fucking bubbling.
And
dude,
we
with-
didn't know where a boat or like person was that we were supposed to get to.
yeah.
So at the end of this float, we actually made our way to a dock, and the first thing we strolled up to was a shot ski. Do you remember that? It's like a ski with like shots all down, like shot glasses glued to the ski, and you just all take a shot at the same time. And that was what we had after the float.
get
So we were like,
hydrated.
keep it going. Yeah. A
This
lot of
dude's
fun times.
blood's
Dude.
thinned out.
But yeah,
Oh,
a
dying over
good.
here.
The end story of that whole deal is you saved the swap and you didn't crash, so everything was completely fine.
Dude, if you
You
would've
put your
crashed-
pants back on, and we were just
my,
like,
my
we're
nuts,
on, dude.
my
We just
nuts
kept
did
on
not
going.
get cheese grated. That was cool.
It could have changed the
Um,
trajectory of your life if you didn't
anyways,
save it.
that trip, we left Rayners. We got to Loretta's. We had, dude, MX Sports. Don't know what you were thinking, MX Sports, but you put us on Vendor Row,
Right in the mix.
right next to MXers. for
Right next to
Jesus.
100%.
They're
Wait.
they're trying to give you a little hint. But you
MXers for
didn't get it.
Jesus on one side and 100% and like FMF right
And
next to
Chase
that on the other
Sexton
side.
parked right across from us, and
And-
with his 80.
Shout out, champ. Chase
Dude,
Sexton.
we. Needless to say, we're a little loud.
Did you guys get the golf? Because when I got the golf cart, and then you zip tie back the governor thing. That thing goes like 40.
We definitely had that. We had a golf cart
Yeah.
or something.
That
We
race-
had
We had
the
everything
one
That
figured
race
out.
is a
Yeah,
must.
we had the pit
I-
bikes. We had the whole deal.
We went
So
to a
fun.
fireworks store
Oh yeah, we had fireworks too.
pre Loretta's. Yeah, that didn't end well.
So that was a good time.
That was
whole
a good
trip.
time. The fucking mortars on Vendor Row, right next to MX.
And we made it
Jesus.
all week.
And the Roman
We
candle.
made it all week. That's an
And
accomplishment.
the Roman candle wars at the beer tent
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
was not good. And me and Darren both got put on the MX Sports shit list. And from that year, sorry, MX Sports, but we were just kids having fun.
Yep. That was a good time.
Nobody got hurt, so that's cool. And
Yeah.
we can laugh about it now, you know. But you got to learn from your mistakes.
I don't-
Dumb, young, dumb, whatever.
I don't
We
think
all-
Davey's pissed anymore. He's probably over it. So.
I personally, Jeff, don't give a fuck. If Davey's mad,
I'll
or
ask
not.
him.
I don't like it. If he's mad, if he's mad still, you got bigger things to be mad about than a kid in 2015 lighting on fireworks.
I drank
Davey
four.
who?
Coombs.
Davey Coombs.
I drank 4 bottles of red wine with him one night in Morgantown, West Virginia. Then we ran out of gas in his car and had to hike through the snow to his sister's house to get gas. But we couldn't let her know because she would have like talked shit. So we did it like sneakily. We stole gas from her. Went back and then we got back. So,
Dirty laundry.
Wow, what
Davey-
about that
Davey
story,
Coombs-
bro, you get into
Did
that.
it.
I've never ridden on an electric bike. Have you?
I
Dirt
never
bike?
have.
Never. Tyler?
I'm a fucking motorhead, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I love race gas and I love the sound of a dirt bike. Like,
Yeah.
the fact of going to a supercross and hearing fucking all over the
Oh
track.
my
Like,
gosh.
you
I
just,
would not go.
I just remember being a kid
wouldn't
just
go.
like frothing in my seats at the supercross. Just
smell.
hearing just like,
Oh.
yeah. Like, the 2 strokes through
No,
the whoops
no.
were the sickest time of all
A
time.
125 2-stroke trying to jump the triple.
Mm-hmm.
Remember those days?
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't a gimme.
Yeah.
That was a nut up every lap.
Yeah.
Hold on for your life.
Yeah,
Hopefully I
so-
make it.
The thought of that is like something that's crazy, and
Yeah.
to me, like I think electric bikes are cool, and like everything's going electric these days, and like you never know, it could be the future of all of us. For everything.
We
like,
could be electric.
If you
they're
take out
fucking
the
talking about doing electric tanks and shit in the military. Like,
but you take out
I
that.
mean, whatever. It's the world we live in. It's ever evolving. That's evolution at its finest. Things happen, things change, and we're along for the ride in this human experience on it.
Yeah.
So, but it was super cool. The Altas kind of like dwindled away a little bit, and then you're like, I don't know if it's gonna be a thing or if it was just too soon type of thing.
Yeah, and then Stark.
And then now Stark, dude, like I actually was fortunate enough to spend some laps on one right after X Games this year.
Yeah.
Pretty mind blowing.
And Josh Sheehan did X Games on one, right?
Yep.
That was pretty.
Yep.
That was kind of
Thing
weird.
double flipped like
Double
cake.
flipping silence.
Look, yeah.
Like, it's kind of wild.
The thing, they emit enough power that's equivalent to 80 horsepower.
80 horse. The last guy I saw is Pastrana is on one, jumping into the big bag off like an 80-foot tall ramp, like just insane.
Yeah.
And he said the triple flip is there for you if you desire easily. He did a double on accident trying to do one.
Yeah.
So the whole inertia, the gyro, everything with the throttle, he said it just
with that bike, like it maybe should turn into snowboarding again, like
Yeah.
that quad. Like I
Do
could
we
see
need
it.
that? Do we want that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that like I'm all for like if someone wants to progress something and push the limits, like I'm all for that.
And then
like, I
Honda
love
too.
it.
You see Honda too. They've been trickling out images and like pictures of electric
Their
bikes,
motos.
but it looks like they're finally
Their bike
Yeah.
looks pretty
got one.
sick.
Yeah.
And the Stark being how fast it was, I actually rode two different ones. I rode one with the handbrake and one with the foot brake. It's definitely a little different not having like I hook under a shifter.
Yeah.
I hook my foot under the shifter.
Yeah, I
a
use
lot.
feet, the brake and the foot thing. It's
And
part of the
not
deal.
having a shifter or a clutch lever
Ooh,
on
yeah,
the
big
foot brake
difference.
one was a little bit different, but the handbrake one was like, it's weird, like a weird thought process, like something that like you'd kind of be against of like using a handbrake, but you could almost use it like a clutch, like you're feathering the clutch,
Drag it kinda,
drag the
yeah.
brake to create less wheel spin, which is really sick. And those things have 80 horsepower, instant to the rear wheel, like
It's pretty
you get
crazy.
a lot
Yeah.
of wheel spin.
It's
And
gonna-
they're not terribly heavier than a 450, so
Yeah.
they do feel a little heavy when you
And a
land,
lot less
but,
maintenance.
but I think they just came out with those things, and it's only going to get better.
It's only going to get better. Yeah. Dude, I wanted to ask you about something else too. I don't know how much time we have left here, but I think a lot of people wonder like how people like you invest your money and how you look at just your future, you know? Obviously, like everyone looks at their future. You got to like look at your future. You got to plan it out. You got to invest your money wisely. And when you're killing it and you're coming up, and like, what are things that you look at, or how do you feel like is a smart way to position yourself when it comes to how you're placing your like money and your investments with your contracts and what you're doing in your future?
Man, it's a nonstop learning process. Honestly, I just turned 32, and I'm kind of stepping into my own of my career, if you will, and it's ever evolving, ever learning. I was fortunate enough, so like my grandfather, he helped my dad a long time ago, but he basically gave me money to put down on an apartment a long time ago, and he was like 30 grand to put down on this apartment. And when I first moved,
It was
down,
like you bought a property.
I bought an
basically, yeah.
apartment, and then I paid him double the mortgage every month till we paid it off. He
Okay.
sold the house, made his initial investment back of the down payment he put in and some, and then gave me money to put down on a house to buy a new house. So I was very fortunate that I more or less gifted that in a sense, but he taught me how to work for it. You know, I paid double
Well, yeah,
the
he
mortgage.
taught you how to
He
put it
basically
and where to put it.
Got me
And-
on my feet, so I was able to have the equity in the house that I moved into the house in January 2019. So I have that, and my goal is to pay that off. And I think to the investment thing, like my grandpa always told me, like, you know, if you can or are able, like, real estate's the easiest, best investment. And that's what he told my dad too. My dad, like, the childhood house that I lived in for a few years, my 8th birthday, my dad had MC painted doing a knack above on my wall above my
awesome.
bed.
Oh,
And
I read something. It's like most kids have Jeremy's poster, but you had him painted,
hand painted by my dad's buddy
Yeah.
from Italy. That's a like crazy artist, and it's
sick.
the sickest
Oh,
painting
wow.
of all time.
That's cool.
Like, and I got
Do you
to
have a
wake
picture
up
of that?
every day. I do.
That's awesome.
I'll show you.
Yeah.
And I actually, now being friends with MC, I brought the picture down, and it's me holding the photo of the knack that was painted.
He's stoked.
And I was a Grom sitting there, and I had MC sign it. So it was pretty cool.
That's our second guest.
I know, as it should be. Number 2, the Showtime.
We got
2.
number 1,
Certain
Bereman.
font.
Number 2.
I finally beat MC
You
at
beat him.
something. Yes.
That's awesome.
Gotcha, MC.
But yeah, that's awesome. That you,
And so with that, to learning that from my grandpa, did it for my dad, and my dad bought this house. We lived in it for years, and then he still to this day owns the property, and it's making him money. You know?
Oh, that's awesome.
That's really
So
smart.
that's definitely one thing that I want to do. My goal is, as of right now, I haven't yet, but my goal is to get my house paid off. I never want to get rid of it, and my ultimate goal is to live on a property where I can ride straight out of my backyard and do what I want and have my land and have some cows, whatever I end up, have a fucking greenhouse, dude, live off the land, and that's would be really cool. So it's the ultimate goal. But other than that, like the money that I've been making, like, you know, flashing back to like the 2010 through 16 time, like I was making money, but I was spending it to go to the next race.
Yeah.
And now I'm able to like make the money and not have to spend it to go to the next race. Like, it's cool. So learning how to like put these things to places, and like, you know, retirement and all that, and kind of just putting money away, obviously, for Uncle Sam. Fucking hate that guy, but paying that guy like the taxes and shit, like it's just, yeah, retirement helps with taxes and stuff, and doing that. And then my grandpa actually had a dude that helped him, financial guy that played around with some money on the stock market for my grandpa, and I had given him some money a few years ago, and he's been playing with me playing with my money on the stock market for me, and has made some money. It's honestly over my head, a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I'm learning as I go, and I've learned like that's the number one thing with going back to working with Troy, my coach, and all this. Like, I'm just trying to be the best version of myself and learn as much as I can, and like I learn at a different pace than some other people, and everyone's different strokes for different folks. Everyone's different. So trying to ever evolve and learn and figure out how to put my money into other things. And then the ultimate goal is to ride my motorcycle, whatever it may be, and not have to work a job. So just continuing on the path that I am right now and letting love and wisdom guide the way. I think it'll lead me to wherever I need to go, wherever's right, you know, and something is I'm gonna, as long as I continue to do what I'm doing and building myself up, and you know, I can't reiterate this enough to the kids and all this, like, in our world of moto, like, you are your own brand. Like, not only are you riding for brands, like, you are a brand yourself. So branding yourself the right way, and
You are
building
a
yourself
brand, for
building
sure.
yourself up, you know, and my goal has always been, like, you know, having these guys like Twitch and stuff as a role model. Like, he's made so many other companies money, but he's now stepped into the role of like building his own company. And
TBK.
there's so many things where, you know, in the future that I can just continue to learn and compact all this, and when the time's right, I can potentially step into something else. But I'm just trying to focus on what's in front of me right now, and not it's funny, my grandpa would always be like, you know, like, riding all this shit's not gonna last you forever, and what's next? What's next? And I'm just like, fuck. Like, I don't even. It stresses me out. Like, I don't even want to think about it. I'm
What's
just gonna
forever?
I just want
What's
to be
forever
right
mean?
now.
Like,
I mean,
what
dude,
is
we're
forever?
not. Like,
we just
we're-
want to be here now, right now.
We're not. None of us are getting out of this fucking story of life alive anyway. So like, I'm
0% or 100% mortality rate at the end,
dude. And and
that's what I heard.
and it's I've now like, I've never really thought too far ahead. I've just focused on what's in front of me, and it's organically led to where it has.
Just keep it going.
And I'm just going to keep that going. But I've now been able and been fortunate enough to be in these situations, and now starting to see these 3 to 5 to 10 year plans unfold in front of me by the work and effort that I'm putting in. And it's cool. Yeah. And then I guess it takes me back to, I think we talked about this off air for a minute, but being involved with Fast House and stuff, and I was able to get my foot in the door and get my SAG card and start doing some stunt stuff. Back in 2016 was the first thing I did, and done a couple movies, couple TV shows, and the most recent one was Righteous Gemstones with Danny McBride on the HBO show.
That's
and
such
it's
a good show.
Oh, so good.
Season 1, and I did it with Jimmy Hill, Jared Stanky, and this dude Troy Smalls.
Nice.
From Minnesota. So yeah, we were all there for a month, and I literally was there for a month shooting 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. every night. And
yeah, you guys work long hours, I've heard.
yeah, just nights, and we work long hours, but the more hours you work, the more you get paid. So it's cool, and I really enjoy it because I can take what I learn on a proper production set, like a movie set, and take that back into, translate it in and apply it into what I do. And I'm, that's what I'm more or less paid to do. I'm a free writer to film and make content. So
what was the first like big movie thing that you did in the stunt world? Wasn't it like,
well, the first
which
thing I ever
movie
did was Lethal Weapon, the TV show. And then I did Animal Kingdom episode.
no way, that's awesome.
And then I did
They're filmed in Oceanside right here.
Yeah. Those dudes are all super
Crazy
cool.
show.
Yeah, they're
show.
sending.
I forget what season. Shit, season 3, I think. Anyways, did you get him?
Maybe.
I saw you going like this, like
Fucker,
looking
dude,
at
I
that
will
thing.
kill that thing.
But I did that, and then I did 8 weeks on a movie called Axel, AXL. It was originally supposed to be a different name called Miles, but that was trademark stuff, so they ended up changing the name of the movie, AXL, Axel. So I worked on that for 8 weeks, and then did a couple of little things in between. I got to actually a concept of an idea of a video to roll my old van, the Vangina that we spent plenty and did thousands of miles in.
The van we went to Black Friday.
So we roll caged the van, and I got to roll the van for a video intro for like a promo for Day in the Dirt, which was insane. And I got to work with a bunch of stunt guys in that.
That was awesome, man.
Learn how to roll a car on purpose.
Yeah, that was cool.
So Kenny Alexander, owner of Fast House, he's from the stunt world, right?
That's Fast House. A bunch of their investors, they're all stuntmen, and like that's how Fast House started. And Day in the Dirt started was a bunch of stunt guys that worked in the stunt world together. Would go out on Thanksgiving and ride together and camp, and then they decided to turn it into Day in the Dirt. Like it was the first Red Bull event in North America ever. So it's like just full circle for me now being on Red Bull and like this, and then creating imagination. Like you never know where this shit will go.
Yeah.
But being able to get involved with that world and meet a lot of these people, like that is something that like my grandpa always asked me, these long-term plans, like what after? That could be something that how much I've learned of filming on set for just our moto movies and filming in the hills and all this shit and concepts. That's how a lot of these guys got in, started doing stunts, and then that's basically you can kind of do stunts long enough to where you get your coordinating credits, and then you can become a stunt coordinator and then hire dudes like me.
What was the
cool, yeah.
So there's a long-term goal there, and that's like a kind of like a potential backup plan of like a plan B if and when this stops, because I know I'm not fucking ignorant enough to know that this shit ain't gonna last forever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so down with that.
Yeah.
And like, I also look at it on the flip side of like looking at Twitch right now. He's done more shows than he ever has his whole entire life. So it's like till the wheels fall off, man. Like, I'm gonna do this shit till I'm dust.
Imagination 17.
It's
is
Imagination
out.
69.
7.0. Yeah, what's the gnarliest stunt that you've done? Is anything too crazy, or is all
I
this-
mean, rolling the van was kind of gnarly, and
Yeah.
then on the Righteous Gemstones, I had to do a lay down on asphalt, and like I was
Oh, you
getting
guys-
shot, and I literally had to
Yeah.
lay the bike down on asphalt, and I had to do it 3 times at like 40 miles an hour.
All right, that's pretty heavy.
Just straight, just low side the thing on
Yeah.
purpose.
Just don't catch a high side.
In
Just
like a leather
come
suit.
off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was kind of gnarly.
It was like a chase scene. Like he was like chasing like a car.
Yeah,
I remember. I watched
we
the whole
just
series.
shot up the bus
And it was-
outside
There was a little crew on motorcycles.
gas station, and we like take off on the motorcycles.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what we were. We were the cycle ninjas.
I had no idea that.
And
was
so
you.
we were
That's
the
awesome.
ninjas hired to be assassins on
You gotta watch
the
that
family.
shit. It's good.
But yeah, insane show and super funny. Anything with Danny McBride is funny, but being able to be on set with him like that and be able to see him as a person, like he's funny without being trying to be funny.
Yeah.
He's just such a good dude, and he's so into motorcycles, which is really cool. And
Kenny fucking Powers.
Kenny fucking Powers, man, like
so rad.
insane.
That's cool.
So yeah, that's just, I guess, future investments. I think the biggest thing that anybody can do, kids, anybody watching, if you're a kid, adult, whatever you are, like invest into yourself. Like that's what I've done, and it's gotten me to this point. I've done that blood, sweat, and tears for years, and
Now people are investing.
it's
into
only
you.
going to be leading to more investments and opportunities. It's just how you present yourself as a human. And, I think I have the right mindset, and like I definitely don't have it all figured out. I never fucking will, but I'm trying to be better than I was yesterday. I'm trying to learn, and I'm trying to be better. So with all of it, like it's all little by little, a wise man once said.
Just keep striving.
Just keep striving.
Keep living and thriving.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Good shit,
Yeah,
Tyler.
stoked. Thank
Good
you guys for
times.
having me. That was fun.
Yeah.
Hope you
Yeah.
guys enjoy at home.
Yeah.
First episode.
Yeah, it was
You
good.
followed up by MC. I never thought I'd say that. MC's following me up.
Yeah, we're gonna ask
But,
him about
Hey,
you first.
dude, thank you so much for coming, dude. It's just like always been such good homies. It's so good to hear your stories, and we look forward to everything you do in the future.
Thank you.
and
Yeah, we appreciate
I
it.
think too, like we touched on it a little bit, but man, like with imagination and just like creating the what we have in Kansas, the number one most important thing to me is creating the human element and the human experience of just like being someone that someone can relate to. Like I'll never shy away from anybody, and just being like creating that experience that like we're all on this fucking ride together, whatever you want to call it, life, the ride of life.
Yeah, you could turn this imagination thing into what it is now, mixed in with music and camping and events, and
Just the beginning.
Getting started.
Yeah.
that's what I envision that when I hear you say things like we're just getting started. That's what I see coming. So
We're just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
There's a million ways you can skin the cat, but with an imagination and creation, like you can do whatever you set your mind to.
Oh, yeah.
With anything in life, So
imagination, a huge imagination event, just next level. Just I see it. We'll be there one day for sure.
Dude, we'll be there
mm-hmm.
for the
Yeah,
rest
you guys
of
got
them from
to.
here on out.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that people are allowed to go again.
Yeah,
we'll be there.
Yeah, it was sick, and being able to do it in Kansas, the place we go, and like the humans that own the property,
These guys seem cool.
yeah, the guy's really cool, and he owns a foundation, and he works with the Kansas City Human Trafficking Division and hunts down trafficked kids and
Oh,
reunites them with their
nice.
family and works with the government. And
That's got to be a brutal job.
It's gnarly, but the guy,
Someone's gotta do
his
it,
whole
yeah.
goal in life is to humbly serve others, and he allows us to do this. And
Wow.
every
That's
year
next
creates
level.
this experience, and we get to shoot guns and go hunting and fucking just freedom at its finest.
Rad.
That's
That's
awesome.
cool.
Cool, man.
Right on.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Good
Appreciate
stuff.
it. Boom, boom.
Boom, boom.
Thanks for tuning in to the first episode of the Fast Friends podcast. You guys will have to stay tuned because there's some really special guests coming. And we're stoked to be starting this journey as number one. But hey, there's more losers than winners in this world. So listen to the Fast Friends podcast and enjoy.
Sick.